I'm Jonathan, I'm the executive chef here at Jade. The recipe that I'm doing for you today is called pan-seared kingfish with a Caribbean fricassee. Now, if anybody has a hard time cutting a pepper, I wanted to show you an easy and a quick way. Now, the easiest way to cut this is I usually just start from the top, cut the top off, and I cut the bottom off. This way you're gonna have an even grounds for slicing it perfectly. Then you wanna just make a cut in here, and what you wanna do is just kind of roll the pepper. If this was a spicy chili, all the heat would be trapped in here. What we're gonna do now is, this is called, in culinary terms, this is called a julienne, and it's just a very fine, thin slice. Now, I'm making this look easy, but it takes a lot of practice. So there we go. And then you turn it clockwise, counterclockwise this way, and then you get a perfect dice. And if you see how I'm using the knife, I'm just using the tip all the way down to the heel. And this is really how you utilize the whole knife and you don't bruise the vegetables. This is the way to do it. And then we're gonna make the fricassee. Just gonna preheat the pan. The reason why I want to preheat the pan before I saute vegetables, if you throw a bunch of cold vegetables into a cold pan, it's gonna take a very long time for it to get to the right temperature. Now, when you're buying chives, you wanna make sure that they all stick straight. And the reason why, if you have any blemishes or anything like that, you start to lose the flavor of them. I like to use the whole chive. And I left some of this dirt on here just to prove to you that these were harvested today. If you go into the grocery store and you see something that has dirt on it, you're gonna be like, ooh, that's gross. But when I get everything from the farm, it's washed off perfectly. But I love to see that this was harvested fresh, because then you're using a fresh product, and I have a commitment to quality, so anything that starts off quality, I always try to present it in the perfect way. I'm just gonna cut off the end here. And same thing when you're working with fresh produce or even mushrooms. What you can do, the dirt's not gonna kill you, I promise. What you can do is just take a nice damp towel and just take that off, just like that. And the scallions or chives, they play a big role into this dish here. They add a nice onion flavor. You wouldn't dice an onion and put it into the Caribbean fricassee because it takes over everything. Have you ever eaten a really strong onion, or you've had a sauce that had too much onion in it? Well, these ones are a lot milder. Okay, and also what you can do is you can cut it in half and then you can bring it over. So you cut double the amount. So that's a nice little trick. Then what we have here is some local celery. Now this is my favorite. I use this as much as possible. We have a lot of it growing at the farm. Traditionally, the celery is the whole stalk, but the stalk really has no flavor. I mean, it's just watery. Here, it's all of the flavor in the leaf. I throw this into salads. I make pesto out of it. I do a lot of things here with this. So I'm gonna cut the stalk off. Now, you can cook this. You can cook it into a soup. You can make your chicken noodle soup with this. You can make your vegetable soup with it. You can still use this. I don't wanna put it into here because it's gonna mess with the texture and the flavors. It might make it a little bit too stringy. Okay, here we go. So now, with the herbs, I like to kind of fold them over into themselves and just give them a roll. And what's gonna happen is it's gonna kind of make a little bundle, and then you just put your knife through that. This is called a chiffonade. You don't wanna bruise your herbs. When you bruise them, again, you're gonna lose the flavor. So my pan's hot now. What I'm gonna start with is just a little bit of butter, and you wanna hear a nice sizzle. There we go. Okay? And then I'm just gonna go ahead and throw my peppers in there. Okay? This is my dasheen, which I have diced and boiled, and I blanched it until it's fork tender, just like a potato. I'm just gonna drop those in here. Okay, and then I have my pineapple, which I've also diced, taken out the core. Just gonna drop that in there as well. And I have some of my tomatoes and also red chilies. Okay, and I'm just gonna give that a stir here. Oh, can you smell that? Nice shot there. Now, does anybody know how to make coconut milk? Here's a quiz. Does coconut really have milk in it? No milk. It's actually just coconut that's dried, and it's just grated, and then actually produces a milk. So that's what I have right here. Now, you wouldn't want to drink this like this, but it's very good to add into a cocktail or a frozen daiquiri. Just give that, and so there's no dairy in this. And now, just to incorporate everything, you want to bring this to a boil. You see how beautiful that looks already? Can you see that, guys? And then once it comes to a boil, that's when you would add your fresh herbs. You don't want to add your herbs now because what's going to happen if you bring them to a boil and they boil, they're going to cook out. You're not going to have the maximum flavor that you want. Also, I want to season them just with a little bit of sea salt here and a little bit of black pepper. Comes to a boil. Now this is fresh basil. I love to use basil. And then I want to take my fresh celery, okay, and my scallions, and get those right in there. Now you might think this is a lot of herbs, but herbs are what enhances the flavor of what you have going on. I like to use fresh herbs in everything. Okay, so now I just want to move on into cooking my fish. What we have today is kingfish. I also want to preheat my pan here. Now, kingfish is in the mackerel family, and it's also called Spanish mackerel. It has a circular flesh, and when it cooks, it's just the most beautiful fish. When you're buying fish from your fishmonger, please have a good relationship with him and just trust that he gets the freshest fish. But what you want to do is look for the color. When you make an indent with your finger, it should bounce right back. There shouldn't release any water. It should just bounce right back. That's when you know it's fresh. If water comes out of it, that means it was frozen previously. I like to use sea salt because we're in the Caribbean. They harvest sea salt on the island. Fresh cracked pepper, which is always a nice addition. You have to crack it fresh every day, or you can use a spice grinder. So just give it a liberal season there. What I want to do is a little bit of butter in there. Okay, and you want to just get a nice sizzle in the pan, okay, just so it bubbles. Now, if you cook this too much, what's going to happen, it's going to burn, and you don't want that to happen. So we're just going to place our fish in there. And you have to make sure the pan's hot. If the pan's not hot, you have to hear that sizzle, or it won't sear properly. The most important part about cooking fish is not overcooking it. You cannot overcook fish. It's not good for the fish. Also, the other thing I forgot to do was season the other side. You don't want to just season one side of the fish, you want to season both sides of the fish. You want to look for the signs. Okay, you see how it's just coming a little bit of white? That's when you can know how far it's cooked so far. Now, I like to cook this fish on the medium side. I don't like to cook it all the way through because it's very tough and steaky, and anytime you overcook fish, it can become fishy. I have right here, which I always keep handy, a little bit of coconut rum. We are in the Caribbean. Coconut rum is sweet, coconut rum is very delicious, and it has everything to do with the Caribbean. What this is going to do is actually caramelize. It's going to caramelize to the fish. The sugars are going to pull out all the sweetness that the fish has to offer, and this is really a beautiful dish. So we're just going to turn off the heat now. What we're going to have is residual heat that's going to cook the rest of the fish. Remember, I want the fish to be a little bit medium inside. Also, if you want to do a really nice pan sear, you can blend it with a little olive oil here. If you want to blend the butter with a little bit of olive oil, you can get a higher melting point, a higher smoking point, sorry, and then get a really nice sear, golden brown, and that's what gives you a lot of flavor in the protein. You have your fresh fruits in there, your fresh herbs, your nice peppers. This is loaded with flavor. All right, so this is our seared kingfish with Caribbean fricassee. Well, thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, definitely. And I welcome you to dine tonight at Jade. So. Alrighty. Good. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Really
much.
interesting.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.